What is going on, everybody? It is Johnny TCG back with another video. Today I've got a deck list and gameplay video for Jewelry Bonney, the mono green leader from OP07. This leader I was struggling with for a bit, and then I just watched a lot of videos, and it just sort of clicked eventually once I got the hang of some of the combos. And now it is one of my favorite leaders to play. If I had more of these cards IRL, then this might be my go-to local deck, but as I do not, it will remain a sim favorite for mine. You have probably seen plenty of videos describing this deck. This is not a real game-changing, breaking the mold deck list. This is pretty standard stuff, so I'm not going to go too in-depth with it. Of course, we have the MVPs of this deck, which are Cavendish, Basil Hawkins, Eustace Captain Kidd, and Hody Jones. The only real spice I have in this deck that you might even consider spice would be the 8-cost Rosinante from OP04. Honestly, in my testing, that hasn't come up to be too useful, so that might be on the chopping block soon. But as it is, this is kind of my general list I'm working with. It is pretty much standard. Before we get into the gameplay, take a look at the custom Bonney leader I'm showing on the screen. This is the leader I'll be using in the sim games, and you can get it for free. I'm going to do a giveaway. All you have to do is like and comment. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I'll send one commenter this custom Bonney card completely for free, US based only. I did not draw the art. It is from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game, and this isn't like professional. I'm not selling it. This is just a fun hobby of mine so far. So it's not perfect yet, but if anyone wants just a fun little custom card, all you have to do is leave a like and a comment, and I'll choose someone randomly to send it to. Now that's out of the way, let's get to the gameplay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first game up, we got against Lucci from OP07. I get to choose the turn order, and I'm going to choose to go second. I keep my hand. I have a nice turn 1 play with Baby 5, and then a nice turn 2 play with a Rouge. Granted, the Rouge probably will not last long. I am not expecting for most things to stay on the board for more than one turn against Lucci. I draw the Jewelry Bonney, and I actually decide to search with it instead. I'm actually looking for Cavendish or Basil Hawkins. While Cavendish is an amazing card in this deck, I feel like Basil Hawkins will have more utility against Lucci, as it's going to be hard for them to be able to get it off the field with one of their effects. They swing 6,000 at Bonney. I gotta let it go. And then they don't use anything with the other two done, which is a little interesting. I'm gonna swing 5 with my leader, and they take the first hit. And now I'm gonna play a Rouge, and using his ability, I get to stand 1 at the end of my turn. They're gonna go 5,000 at me and do -1 from a Rouge. Now, I am not confident this Rouge will be able to stay on the board, and so I might as well just use it to block. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. If they had the cards they needed to in hand, which with like 10 cards in hand is more than likely, they probably would have been able to pop it, so I would have taken life for nothing. They end up playing the Sabo. I swing 5 with leader, and they take the free block. That's the right play. And then I play down the Basil Hawkins. I imagine they'll have a tough time dealing with that. They're going to go 7 with their leader into my leader. I'm just going to take this. I'll give them a couple life and just keep accumulating cards in my hand. They decide to swing 7 with the Sabo too, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. And I'll take this one as well. And then for 4 down, they're going to play the Khalifa, which lets them draw 2 and trash 2. Now I've got 8 down to work with. I'm going to swing 7 with the Basil into the Sabo first. They give me the 2K Khalifa. Now I think I'm going to go Hody Jones. I think this would be a good time to attempt to clear their board. I really want to get that Sabo off the field. and I'm going to go 8,000 into it. They give it to me, which is great. And now I want to get that Khalifa off the board as well, just because it's another body that could possibly swing into me. I debate whether or not I should leave a Don up to use leader ability, but it doesn't really matter too much. They can just swing with their leader before any other characters are on board. They give me the Khalifa, and now I'm feeling pretty good. I've got 2 characters on board, and they've got none. They're going to swing 6 with their leader into me. I've been taking a lot of hits. I'm thinking that maybe I should use one of my many 2Ks to counter out of this one, and I do with a 2K Scratch Mana Poo. They're going to go Gecko into Rebecca into Spandam. Now, I don't think they'll be able to bring any combination of cards back with Rebecca to KO either of my characters, which is awesome. One big thing in this matchup is that if you can have characters stick around for more than a turn, you are going to be in good shape. I've got 10 Dawn to work with. I do have the Doflamingo I can drop, but the only thing of value that I would keep as rested would be their leader. So I don't think right now is the best time to use it. I have a Basil Hawkins in my hand. I have Cavendish. I have another Rouge. So I've got multiple cards that I can play this turn, a couple of different routes that I can go with. I decided to play out the Cavendish first, just to kind of better visualize how much Don I have as he restands 2 Don when he's played. I'm going to swing 5 at the Spandam just to kind of clear their board. Then I'm going to go 7 with the Basil Hawkins. I've really been kind of aggressive with it, wanting to get as many swings in as possible. Now I'm going to go 8 with the Hody Jones into life. They countered out of the Basil Hawkins swing. And they used Rebecca to block out of the Hody Jones swing. Now I'm going to go with Rosinante for 2 Don. And then I'm debating on whether or not maybe I should do a little Baby 5 Searcher. But I think I'm just going to decide to play the Rouge instead. Even though I kind of realized I had one more spare Don to work with. Not ideal. F in the chat. I am a fraud, but let's move past it and forget that it ever happened. They're going to swing big into the Hody Jones. I'm going to use leader ability, rest their Rob Lucci leader. And then I'm debating on whether or not I want to block or counter out of this. Now, I think I should have blocked out of this because they still got 8 Don to work with. They will probably be able to KO my 2 blockers with some sort of on-play effects, whether that's 8 cost Sabo or a Gecko Moria. But I did counter out of it. Not the worst decision in the world, but I don't think it's optimal. They're going to go Gecko into Rob Lucci into Helmeppo, the classic play to KO my Rosinante and my Rouge. Not the end of the world, though. I still will have 3 big bodies on board, or decent bodies. I wouldn't necessarily say Cavendish is a big body. And I think here is where I should probably drop my 10 cost Doflamingo. I can keep their leader and Gecko Moria rested. I'm going to start out my turn by going 8,000 with Hody into lead. They take it. They're still at 3 life cards and got a lot of cards in hand, so I do not feel like I'm close to victory right now. There's still a long way to go for me. The great thing about this deck is combining Doflamingo 10 drop and then swinging with Cavendish, which allows you to restand 2 Don, so then you will still be able to use your leader ability that turn. Now I'm going to swing 6 with Cavendish into their leader. They give me the 2K. And then I'm going to do another 6 with my leader into them. And they give me another 2K. So their hand size has shrunk pretty significantly. It does feel very good knowing that this turn I'll be able to rest either their Rob Lucci or their Gecko, depending on what they want to swing with first. I only have to worry about one swing this turn. They're going to use Tempest Kick to lower the cost of my Cavendish. Then they're going to swing 9,000 into Leader. I am going to rest Rob Lucci, and I can debate countering out of it or even blocking out of it with Basil Hawkins, but I'll just let the hit go through. I do have the Eustace Captain Kidd, which will be an interesting play next turn, potentially. I have that combo ready with the Rosinante. Now they're going to Rob Lucci and KO the Cavendish and then play down the blocker Sabo. I feel like the tide has turned a little bit. They've got a blocker. They've got a full board that will be hard for me to deal with. So I'm only at one life left. I don't really know what the optimal play is right now. I'm going to start out with 8,000 to Rob Lucci. Just try to deal with their board a bit. They let me have the Rob Lucci, and now I'm going to go 10 into their Gecko, even though I imagine they'll have the counter to get out of it. They do, but now at least they're down to 2 cards in hand. I'm debating on what I should do. I'm going to go 5,000 into lead. They take this, which was surprising. I thought they were going to counter or block with Sabo, but they probably think I might have a 10 cost Doflamingo again. I end up playing the Eustace Captain Kidd Rosinante combo, so I don't have a ton of counter in hand. I'm not expecting it to survive this turn, but hopefully at least my Hody Jones and Doflamingo will. I did leave one Don up for leader ability, so I can rest one of their Geckos. They're going to start the turn again with another Tempest Kick, bringing Eustace Captain Kidd down to 5 cost. They're going to play a Spandam 1-drop and draw another Tempest Kick, and then they're just going to swing 10 into Eustace Kidd. I'm going to rest their other Gecko, and I actually am going to be a little cheeky, and I think I'm going to counter out of this one, leaving my 2 blockers up. Granted, those 2 blockers, well, the Rosinante may get popped by an effect. They decide to go 8,000 into Kidd. Unfortunately, I don't have any more counter in hand, so I'm going to have to use one of my blockers. I'm trying to think what else could they do for 5 Don to get rid of it. I decide to block out with my Rosinante. I'm wondering that. Let me know in the chat if you think that was the right play, or should I have blocked out with the Hawkins? The reason being, what if they have an on-play effect to KO the Kidd now, which they wouldn't have been able to do with the Rosinante on board. So let me know down below if you think that using Rosinante's effect was the better play. For 5 Don, they play the Kaku, which doesn't KO anything, and then they just concede. I'm a little confused here. I guess I did kind of have it in the bag, but I would have thrown down that 5 cost Sabo and seen the rest of the game through. They don't necessarily know what my play was going to be. I would have swung with my 3 big bodies first. They maybe take one. Yeah, I don't know. That's a little weird. But GG. Next up, we got a game against Black and Yellow Luffy from Starter Deck 13. This will be certainly a matchup you see a lot this set. I decided to mulligan my first hand, and I'm just going to go with the Baby 5 Searcher, turn 1. I find the Rosinante, you love to see it, and I'll pass. I already have a 10-drop Dofi in my hand, 2 Rosinantes in my hand. I've got a couple Cavendishes, a Basil Hawkins. I just need the Eustace Captain Kidd now. I'm going to go 5 at their leader. Not really I don't really care if they take it or if they counter out. I'm just trying to poke a little bit. I'm going to take their hit. I don't play anything on my 4-Don turn because I don't really need a blocker this early in the game. I'm going to save it for when I inevitably drop a kid or something. They're going to play down the 5-drop Sabo and trash 2 5-cost Monkey D. Luffys from their hand. This Sabo may be a little bit annoying in the early game, but alas, we shall continue. I've got 6 Don to work with, and I decided to go with the Cavendish and Rosinante combo. While I don't want to waste all my blockers too early, I do recognize that Black and Yellow Luffy can move kind of quick, so I need to be prepared. They're going to go 7,000 into lead. I will rest their Sabo and take the hit. I do get that coveted 8-cost Captain Kidd. Now they're going to actually play another 5-drop blocker Sabo. They draw 2 and are filtering out their cards. They trash a baby ace card, which tells me that they must have the Gecko in their hand, so they'll be able to replay that card from the trash. And then they're also going to trash the Searcher event. 8 Don, my play is easy. I'm going to go Eustace Captain Kidd for 8, swing at their rested Sabo with Cavendish to restand Don, or 2 Don, and then play out another Rosinante with Kidd's effect, give a Don to Kidd, so they have to swing into him next turn. And then I debate on swinging with my leader, but I decide not to. They're going to be at 9 Don. They can't do the typical Gecko play, but we could still see a Gecko here. They just give 4 Don to their leader, and they're going to swing 9 into Eustace Kidd. This is perfectly fine. I've got a 2K with their name on it. First, I'm going to use leader ability to rest their blocker Sabo. And now with 5 Don left, we see the OP07 5-drop Monkey D. Luffy. Now we've got 10 Don, and I think it's going to be the turn we play the 10-cost Big Body Don Quixote do Flamingo. I play it, and I'll be able to make their leader and blocker Sabo not active. I then am going to swing 6,000 with Cavendish, restanding 2 Don. I should have just swung here into their Sabo with my kid, but I decided just to rest my kid. I guess that's coming from a place of not wanting them to be able to fill their trash, but definitely not ideal. It's a misplay. You can roast me in the comments for it. I accept all the hate I deserve. I deserve it all. They're going to go 10-drop Kuzan, which I was not expecting, and they KO one of my Rosinantes with it. And then using the 5-drop Monkey D. Luffy ability, they are going to be able to KO my other Rosinante. So while my Eustace Captain Kidd did survive, his 2 bodyguards did not. Now I'm in a pretty good position, though. I've got a couple solid bodies on board, but I am also looking down the barrel of a 10-drop Kuzan, which is scary. I decided to play down the Searcher Bonney first, and I actually have a little bit of a scheme I'm devising. I can take this Jewelry Bonney and rest one of their Don or characters, and resting a Don on their potential 10 Don Gecko Moria play, where they're going to use leader effect 2, will completely screw it up for them. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to take a Bonney for. The Rouge would also be nice, but I think that Bonney play could be crazy. I'm going to start out with 5,000 with my leader into them. They decide to give me the 1K. I'm kind of just swinging. I'm not going to put them down to 0. I know better than that. Now I'm swinging 6,000 with Cavendish. They have to decide whether or not they want to give me 2K of counter or just take the hit. They give me the 2-drop Hiyori for 2K. Now I'm going to swing with Doflamingo into the Sabo kind of realized maybe last turn was a little bit of a misplay. I might as well just get it off the board. They give me the Salvo, thank you very much. I'm going to give 1 Don to Eustace Captain Kidd. I'll go 9 into lead. And they give it to me. A Hawkins would not be a bad play here, keeping that big body blocker on board. And I decided to pass. I think that Bonney would have been a fine play this turn, but I think I'm going to hold on to it and play it next turn, like most likely. They're going to go Charlotte Flampe and take their life. Now they will be able to use leader ability, but they won't be able to combo it with Gecko Moria. And here is where I get my second Jewelry Bonney. This is where the gears really start turning and realize that I am about to have an epic turn. I'll play out Bonney and prevent the Kuzan from becoming unrested next turn. I'm going to swing 10 with Doflamingo into their leader. They're obviously going to counter out of this, but just putting pressure on life. And here is where I think the game is just won. I'm going to swing 6 with Cavendish, obviously just to use his ability. And then I'm going to play another Bonney and then freeze one of their Don. So now this turn they've only got 9 Don to work with. Their biggest body is still rested. They can't use leader effect and Gecko. They're facing a giant board. This game is all but over. I do have a lot of cards in hand, but I don't think anything's going to get them out of this. Leave in the comments below, is Black Yellow Luffy a bad matchup in the Bonney? Or maybe it was just this game. They're going to use leader ability, but they've really got nothing. They concede. GG's. For the last game of today's video, we will be playing against Monkey D. Dragon, the mono red leader from OP07. I decide to keep my first hand. I don't see my mid-range stuff, but I do have a Bonney Searcher and I do have my late game. They play out the 2-cost Monkey D. Luffy from OP01. I am going to start my turn by searching with Bonney, looking for an Arouge, a Cavendish, a Hawkins. Any of those guys would be solid. Arouge helps with my leader ability, but Basil Hawkins is also just a beast. So I do kind of have a little bit of a tough decision, but when it comes down to it, I think I prefer Basil Hawkins. And then I'm going to swing 6 into life. We did draw into that 9-cost Zoro. I can't imagine this Monkey D. Dragon deck runs a lot of blockers. So if I can get that on the board, I imagine it's just game over the next turn. They're going to play another 2-drop Monkey D. Luffy from OP01. And then they're going to play the Koala promo card. It is basically the same thing as Nami from I believe it's the starter deck 1 Nami, where you can move one rested Don to one of your characters. We have not seen this promo in English yet, but we're just treating it like it's the Nami. They're going to swing 7 with their leader to my Bonney character. I'll use my leader ability to rest one of their Monkey D. Luffy's, and they're going to pass it to me. Now, with 5 done, I don't have any great plays at the moment. I think my best bet may just to be swinging big at one of their Monkey D. Luffy's. I do consider playing the Scratchman of Pooh to rest the Koala and swing into it, but I'd rather just get one of their bodies off the board, so I'll swing pretty big into the rested Luffy. Playing out a Rosinante here probably wouldn't be the worst idea ever, but it wouldn't survive very long, as I would just want to use it right away. And who knows, maybe they run like a Marco or something, and they'll be able to get rid of it. For 4 Dawn, they play the Emporio Ivanka from OP07. When that card is at 7,000 power, they are able to play another Revolutionary Army character. They're going to start out 7,000 with their leader. I will rest their Monkey D. Luffy character and just take the 7,000 hit. Using Ivankov's ability, they play out the Lindbergh. They have developed the board pretty fast, but I am not worried. I know basically that I just have to stay alive until the late game, and I have this just because they've got no cards in hand, and slowly but surely I'll be able to whittle their board down. But that 8-drop Monkey D. Dragon from OP07 does scare me. I do have that in the back of my head. They're going to play the 5-drop Ivanka from OP06 and play another promo Koala from their deck. So now they've got 2 koalas on board. That is much more of a nuisance than just 1 koala. They're going to swing 7 at me with Dragon. I will use my leader ability to rest the Lindbergh and then take the 7,000 hit. I get the Basil Hawkins. I don't have a ton of 2K counters in hand, which is not ideal. Got a decent amount of bricks, but it is what it is. And now they're going to swing big at me again. I've got no choice but to take this, and I get the Rouge. Now I'm at 9 Dawn. I could play out my Zoro and hope that I survive another turn and then unleash all destruction on them, but I'm thinking that maybe a wider approach might be a little safer. I don't even want to play Eustace Captain Kidd because I want to leave 1 Dawn up for my leader ability. So I'm thinking maybe I go Cavendish into Rouge, into maybe the Rosinante. I'm thinking about giving 2 Dawn to my leader and then swinging 7 into their Ivankov that's rested. I'm very happy to get that off the board. I'm going to play the Rouge, and it's tempting to swing with the Basil Hawkins. Maybe I should have into that Lindbergh, but I decide not to, and I just pass. We haven't really seen a lot of rush cards from this dragon yet, which I've kind of been holding my breath for because I imagine they run plenty. They're going to use the Otama into Lindbergh combo to KO my Rouge. Not great that the Rouge didn't get much value, but I did get a 2K out of hand with that Otama. And they're going to go 9,000 to me. I will take this and rest their Ivankov. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm being a little bit too willing to take life right now, or if you think I'm playing this matchup pretty well. I would really appreciate the feedback, and I know I certainly have a ways to go to get better, and I know there are plenty of great players in the comments, so let me know your thoughts. They're going to go 10,000 at me. Now here is where I don't want to go down to 0 life because they could be running the starter deck 1 Rush Luffy that is unblockable. And so to avoid that, I'll just block and counter with the Basil Hawkins. Here is where I can really get in a good position. Doflamingo wouldn't be a bad choice. Zoro, depending on how these swings go, might not be a bad choice. But I am leaning towards Eustace Captain Kidd. Just debating on what order I should do this. I'll go Eustace Captain Kidd. I almost use his ability first, but then I hold off in case I swing into life. Maybe a trigger or something would screw up my Rosinante. But I go Cavendish into Ivankov. They do counter out of it, which is perfectly fine because I'll just swing into it with my leader. I give one down to Eustace Kidd, use his ability to cheat out of Rosinante. It's going to be pretty hard for them to get rid of it. And then I'm going to swing 7 into Ivankov, even though I didn't need to swing 7. 6 would have been sufficient, but better safe than sorry. You never know if they've got a card hidden under the table. They're going to play out the Inazuma, which won't be of any help this turn. And they're probably just going to swing Giant into my Kid. $13 into the Kid. I'll use Leader ability to arrest one of their koalas, and then I'll block with Rosinante. This game is basically over. They could get a really lucky string of rush cards, but I am about to play another Eustace Captain Kidd, so they're going to have to deal with 2 8K bodies. Here I'm debating the Zoro. I don't think that would have been a terrible play. I don't think the Doflamingo would have been the worst play either. But I decide to maybe play it a little bit more safe. I'm going to attack in the lead with my Eustace Captain Kidd first. I guess I didn't do Cavendish because I want to use his ability after I already play something. I'm going to go Baby 5 Searcher because I'm looking for that Rosinante to go with a Eustace Captain Kidd. I'll swing 6 with Cavendish. They have to take this as well. And now I've got 10 down to work with. I'm going Eustace Captain Kidd. I'm going to play out the Rosinante with his effect. And I could give 1 down to each of my kids, which would be a real big pain. But I actually think the better play, correct me if I'm wrong, is just to leave 1 down up for my leader's ability. Because just resting one of their characters probably makes more sense. Here they're going to play out the Bello Betty Searcher. They're looking for answers. They do draw that scary Monkey D Dragon from OP07. They're going to use its ability, but it doesn't really matter here. They're only going to be able to swing with... They could swing with 2 characters, but only one of them will be able to reach my Eustace Captain Kidd. I don't have the counter for it in hand to block, so I will just block with the Rosinante. Here, they're just going to be silly, using leader ability to swing 7 into Kidd, and that is just kind of their sign that they've given up. So third conceding in a row with this deck by my opponents. Once you get to the late game, you can really control the board, control your opponent. It is a really oppressive feeling when your opponent who's playing when your opponent is playing Bonney and just able to hinder your progress and rest one of your characters every turn. All right, y'all. Those are all the games I got for you today. If you enjoyed them, definitely subscribe because I'm gonna have more Bonney games coming to you soon. This was a really fun leader to play, and I can't wait to play more. As a reminder, if you want to enter the custom leader giveaway, all you got to do is like and comment. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I'll send one US-based commenter this custom Bonney leader card. That's all I got for you today. As always, I appreciate feedback, criticism, positives, negatives. Let me hear it all. My wife said that if I don't get 200 subs by the end of the month, I am not allowed to sleep in the house. So I hope you'll consider subscribing so I don't have to sleep in the shed. That's all I got for y'all today. Have a great night. Peace.